T-5.
Before we went up the first time, you couldn't turn invisible. Ben wasn't a rock.
The best pilot in the world right here.
Yeah. Best looking, he means.
And Johnny never caught fire.
Ben has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Hi.
And I am right here. Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together. As a family.
Greetings and welcome to House of R, a Ringerverse podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm Mallory Rubin, and joining me today to tell Herbie that she wants to add a couple cloves of garlic to the sauce, just a little bit of zip. It's Joanna Robinson, cousin.
As a family. We're going to do this podcast together, Mallory. As a family.
We're going to add that garlic as a family. It is the Fantastic Four today. It's you, it's me, it's John, it's Steve. We got 4 people on this Zoom.
We do. Everyone else at the Ringer has gone to New Orleans.
Everyone else is at the Super Bowl. We're here.
We're here.
We're here. Joanna, we are here to talk about, as everybody can already tell from the opening clip and the numerous Fantastic Four references already, the Fantastic Four First Steps teaser trailer that got moved up. We thought we were going to have to wait until the Super Bowl, but no. Here it is with us this week. Thrilling. But before we welcome everybody into the Baxter building for some family dinner time, a couple quick programming reminders.
What you got?
People are probably like, you said you were going to have a mailbag. But yeah, then they dropped the trailer early. So we are going to do a winter mailbag, but it's going to be next week, next Tuesday. So keep the questions coming. hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com. Send us questions on trailers that are coming out.
Whatever.
Daredevil, Invincible.
Our personal
whatever.
Lives. Will we answer them?
Our personal lives. Oh,
Will we answer them? Who's to say? But you can ask the question. And we will answer them together as a family.
That's beautiful. If the questions that you sent us about our personal lives don't make the winter mailbag, maybe they'll make the second pod next week, which is our new tradition, the annual V-Day Quickie. We're going to be doing a little romantasy check-in for our Valentine's Day pod. TBD definitively if we will be doing that, if we have the privilege of doing that together in person. It feels likely based on, we've got some stuff to figure out about our recording schedule next week. John and Steve, stay tuned. But we will be doing that. We're looking forward to it very much. So when you're sending mailbag questions, send them about Onyx Storm, romantasy, your favorite couples, anything. It's always fun to hear from you all when we do a V-Day Quickie.
Wing-based porn.
Okay.
No?
Yeah, sure. I just want you to remember the moment where you said on a podcast, send us porn.
I said wing-based porn.
Okay.
Why did you just give me that look as if that's not the very premise of the podcast that we're doing next week?
I think the blurbs on the books, the links to fanfic, all of this. It's going to be a robust week for
of delight
submissions from the bad babies.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. I'm excited.
@gmail.com. Do send me your fanfic recommendations because I really have just like one lane that I travel. And am I going to go off into the dark and deep smutty woods that you guys recommend? Maybe not, but I'd like to hear what you have in mind.
But maybe so.
But maybe so.
But maybe so.
But maybe not. But maybe so.
So that's what we have cooking next week. And then, of course, the top of the following week, we will be talking about Captain America, Brave New World. Spending Valentine's Day weekend with Harrison Ford. What a time to be us. Meanwhile, over on the Ringerverse, the Midnight Boys.
Pew, pew.
Pew, pew. They already have their Fantastic Four trailer reaction up. You can check that out right now.
It's called an instant reaction for a reason, baby.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Damn it. Here's what you have to look forward to next week. First, actually, the rest of this week. You're getting another Midnight Boys pod. You're getting the Infinity War Black recast. That will be coming on Friday. And then next week, the boys will be talking about Captain America. That's not all. Button mash. 20 years. 20 years since The Sims. This made me feel old. We've had a lot of button mash teases in the last few months where I'm like, Thing X made me feel old. And this is one of them. And then the Mint Boys, Mint Edition, we'll be talking about the trailers from the Super Bowl. There's always a lot of nerd culture goodness teased during the Super Bowl.
Did The Sims really only come about 20 years ago? I thought it was earlier than that. Never mind. I'm not.
It's actually 25 years old.
Math
Couldn't tell you, Steve.
What do I know? Yeah, 25 years. I was going to say.
Well,
20,
it's about a week or two anniversary of somebody putting the wrong thing in the planning doc. Then that's what the anniversary is.
Sorry, I was like, this is one thing I do actually know, which is when The Sims came out.
You gonna get on Button Mash? You gonna share your gaming takes?
Absolutely not. No, thank you. Love and respect to Ben Lindbergh.
Joanna, it's a lot. It's a lot now. It's a lot always. It's going to be a lot over the next few months. How can everybody follow along?
Oh my God. So glad you asked. First of all, you know you can listen, but you can also watch these pods on the Ringerverse YouTube channel and also on Spotify app inside of the app. You just fire up the podcast. There, our little shining faces are in the Spotify app. It's a joy and a delight. Maybe a jump scare. Who's to say? All right. Also, you just follow the pod on your like listening platform choice, which includes Spotify, but also any other podcatcher that you so choose. Follow us, subscribe to the pod. Why not do that? We're on social medias. There are a lot of social media platforms of varying degrees of quality, and we are on them. You can find them. Mallory, as a Valentine's gift to me, will you join Blue Sky next week?
Yeah, I'm about to ratchet up my social output. When we're together in person, nothing will stop me. I'll be posting reels and clips of us.
Hell yeah.
Nonstop. And in order to do that, I have to actually be on some social media platforms. So yeah.
Look
I'll be there. I'll be joining you on Blue Sky.
Blue
As you know, I'm always on Instagram looking at sneakers, and I'll be posting things about our podcast there as well. Can't wait.
Also, we already mentioned it a couple times, but why not do it again?
Yeah.
It's hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com.
That's right.
For your let's recap, wing-based porn, Darkwood smutty fanfic recommendations, but also questions about process or, hey, listen, I cover Severance every week with Rob Mahoney, but what does Mallory Rubin think about this season of Severance? We could tell you on a mailbag episode if you write in about it. Let us know. What are we most excited about for White Lotus, which we'll be recording in person every week for 2 months of delight.
I genuinely can't wait.
Yellow Jackets. Mallory's been doing complete rewatch and live Insta-ing it. So you can ask her about that. There's a lot of stuff. Daredevil? What are we most excited about for Daredevil? Come on. What are the logistics of a romantic Valentine's Day quickie with Harrison Ford's Red Hulk? Mallory would be happy to answer that question. hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com. That's it for me. Back to you in the studio, Mallory.
I'm always thinking about Harrison Ford's Red Hulk, if you know what I mean.
I do.
And I think you do.
And everyone else does as well.
God's big good.
Spoiler. I'm so sorry.
I missed you,
Spoiler
bees.
warning.
Welcome back.
I know. We've gotten a couple bees returns recently, and it has felt, frankly, right. It has felt right. So thank you, bees. Thank you, Steve. Spoiler warning. It's a friendly neighborhood one, and here it is for today. We've not seen the film, The Fantastic Four First Steps, so we're going off what's in the trailer, which we will be talking about in detail. We will be talking about some, casting nuggets for the film. Anything that's ever happened in the MCU. Yes, and quite a few TBDs for this cast. Anything that's ever happened in the MCU is fair game today, and some comics canon could come up.
Yeah, we're going to cover all of that as a family.
You've landed on a bit, and I love this for you.
Listen, so it's Marvel's first family. What else are we going to talk about here today? You know what I mean?
Should we get matching suits?
You don't already have one?
I mean, I did wear blue today.
I did wear
green,
one
of my many blue car
shirts. So, all right. Let's do it.
Okay. It's not Sunday at 7 on the dot, but it is time to pod. Let's get to the opening snapshot. Okay, Joe, here's what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be sharing our respective foremost fantastic things from this trailer. And I don't know what you're going to pick. You don't know what I'm going to pick. Before we get into our foremost fantastic things, the highlights, the things that made us most excited, the things that filled us with joy, the things that upped the already high hype. I had a moment last night where I was like, who picked Fantastic Four in the hype draft? And I was like, fuck, right, of course. Sean.
Fantasy. Fucking fantasy. Why would you bring this up?
I don't know. Because I can't stop thinking about it.
Bury it forever.
Vibes only.
Vibes only.
Vibes only. Before we get to our 4 highlights, though, just a very quick little opening snapshot here. The Fantastic Four First Steps film is, of course, going to be the first film in Phase 6. We are not yet through Phase 5, but we are nearing Phase 6, and that's honestly crazy. Like, I am old enough to remember when the Infinity Saga ended, and now we are entering the final phase of the Multiverse Saga, and I just don't know where the time has gone.
It's been a messy few years, let me tell you, for many, many different reasons.
My goodness.
Phase 6.
Wild.
Is
Matt
this
Shackman?
when it all comes together? Is this when it all starts to gel?
It's that would be late, but let's hope. Let's hope it happens then.
It would be a little late, but better late than never. Do you know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah. Matt Shackman was with us at the beginning of the Multiverse Saga, early days with WandaVision, and now he is here directing this film. And in Phase 6, this will be followed by Avengers Doomsday in May of 2026, Spidey 4, July of 26, and Avengers Secret Wars in May of 27. What else is coming out on the movie front in Phase 6? Surely something. Right?
Maybe.
I would assume.
Maybe.
Joanna.
Maybe not.
Give us a little context here. What is your history with the Fantastic Four? Are these comic characters you love? Have you just been absolutely riveted by every moment that they have spent on the silver screen previously? Certainly enjoyed some MCU cameos more recently when we got to see Krasinski as Reed Richards in Multiverse of Madness. We got to see Chris Evans as Johnny Storm and, spoiler, in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Wow.
Are you a big Tim Story head? Are you a big Josh Trank head? Are you really loyal to the let's fuck with the ownership of the rights, the character rights, unreleased 1994 installment?
Great questions.
Take us through it.
Do you think there are more story heads out there or more Trank heads out there? It's a really tough call, I think. I don't know which has the bigger following at this point. Listen.
There's nothing more powerful than Story. That's something I know.
Oh, yeah. But also Tranks. So what are you going to do? Listen, have I seen all of these movies? Yes.
Uh-huh.
Have I revisited any of them? Possibly not. I think the one that I've seen the most is actually Rise of the Silver Surfer, and only because I saw it a second time in the background, it was playing in a bar. And thus is my relationship with the Fantastic Four on silver screen. I've seen them. I would not say I enjoyed
those films. I think that's a reasonable take, and probably not a super rare one. So that's part of what's exciting about this, you know?
On the page...
Yes, the printed page.
I sort of took it upon myself. I was not, as I've said many times, a huge comics reader when I was a kid, but in my like 20s thereabouts, I like sort of set about educating myself. And this is Marvel's first family. This is a very important. I don't know if you've heard that they are a family, but this is a very important. Piece of comic book history. So have I read the Lee and Kirby original run? I have, as an educational thing that I did. Have I read the Jonathan Hickman run? I have. Have I read the Mark Waid run? Yes. And I really liked that one. And I gotta say, I really, really liked Ryan North, who's one of my favorites. Did the dinosaur comics back in the day, did some absolute banger Squirrel Girl run. He's been writing Fantastic Four. Squirrel Girl is my favorite comic book. Ryan has been writing Fantastic Four since 2022. So I've been actually dipping into that because I love Ryan so much. And so the Fantastic Four, the Night of Doom Omnibus is something I really enjoy. It's like issues 1 through 9, I think. I had a great time with. So that is my relationship to Marvel's first family. How about you, Mallory Rubin? How long have you been in the family?
This could be a Fast and the Furious pod. That's what's fun about it.
Dom Toretto's always with me in my heart, in my soul.
The Mr. Fantastic of a different sort. Big Dom, you know?
Sure. Yeah,
Another genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes to stretch certain things. Sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I have, like you, and I would like to apologize formally to Jomi for both of us, saying this out loud. No attachment to the prior films. I certainly watched them, but can't say I love them.
Wait, does Jomi love the original, the other Fantastic Four movies?
He has a deep, it's part of his origin as a consumer of comic book movies connection to them, which is wonderful and sweet.
That's great.
Yeah. And what's fun to think is how many people might that be true for with this impending film, First Steps. I really love Fantastic Four comics. And actually the Fantastic Four are my dad's favorite comic characters, which is just a nice little thing. He really loved, and it was always fun to listen to him talk about when he was a young person and would look forward to a new run with Marvel's first family.
Yeah.
So I'm hyped. I really have been so many MCU fans and so many comic book movie fans, eager for a good Fantastic Four movie, eager for the full formal, not just cameo arrival of the Fantastic Four into the MCU. And, obviously we've talked a ton about both the Fantastic Four and the X-Men in this respect, but the stakes are high. A lot is riding on getting this right and what this means for the rest of Phase 6, the rest of the multiverse saga, but also just the continuation of this larger grand experiment in a way that feels like it is vibrant and
the MCU.
A resource that can be
Superhero
rejuvenated.
Cinema.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're not just getting this in July too. We're getting this and Superman. What a July. We've talked about this before. What a moment for comic book movies. Now that we've seen trailers for both films, you feeling more confident that it will be a positive July in this sliver of the universe?
I do. I think people are gonna, as I've already stated on many podcasts, I have my own personal reservations about Superman, but I think people are gonna love the shit out of Superman. I think they're gonna love it, and I think they're gonna love this as well. And also the tone. It's fun watching that trailer and this trailer, and absorbing the sort of majestic bassoon score on both of them. You really feel a sort of similar hopefulness, you know what I mean? This Superman always has been, of course, that sort of Boy Scout optimistic, except when some people have control of him, kind of character. I don't know about you, Mallory, but I'm having a really frazzled is a very mild way to put it, 2025 so far. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling I think a lot of people are feeling a bit on edge about what's going on. And I think, excuse me, Bug.
Hello, Bug.
Do that again. Oh my God.
Bug.
I think a lot of people are feeling on edge, and I feel like sort of hopeful, uplifting superhero cinema will be very important to people in the summer. I think that the appetite is interesting. I was just thinking about the appetite for this kind of storytelling in July of 2025 versus, I don't know, is it going to be that kind of thing where it's when things are bleak, we really need superhero cinema, and then when things are going kind of okay, we get antsy for other kinds of storytelling? Obviously superheroes will always be here with us, but will they sort of wax and wane depending on this goes back to a unified theory that our pal Dave Gonzalez has about when zombie movies are popular and when vampire movies are popular, and it depends who's in the White House at the time. So anyway, I think that people are really thirsty for hope and optimism. And I think the tenor of this trailer, which is a retro, warm, loving, we can do this sort of energy, meeting the uplifting message of the Superman trailer. It might just be exactly what we need, exactly when we need it, versus perhaps last year what we needed was Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a wildly different tone. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens, if people will show up for this. I know everyone seems to be pretty excited for the Fantastic Four,
Mhm.
which I have
Yeah.
my reasons why I'm excited. We're about to talk about like 4 fantastic reasons why we got excited about this trailer, but I'm interested that it has permeated, it feels like to me anecdotally, beyond comic book fans
Mhm.
into like the Gen Pop seems pretty excited for this movie. Is it the Pedro effect? Like what's happening?
mean-
It's thrilling, you know?
Pedro and Kirby, Eben and Joe. Like, what a time.
Yeah.
What a time. What a family.
This is for us. What
I
about,
mean,
what about you,
the
Mallory?
masses gather, Joe, at the crack of dawn at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. There was a rocket above them, a real one. What did you actually? What did you think of this? The kind of like launch eventizing of the trailer release. Obviously, trailer releases have now long been an event in and of themselves, but the little teaser for the trailer the day before, the release of the marketing material, the posters, the crowds rushing to see inside of the fictional universe the characters the way that hopefully fans will in real life. I got a real kick out of I thought, frankly, for a bunch of very charming people, incredibly awkward press.
Deeply tilted.
Yeah, very odd. But I did think it was all worth it just for Pedro to describe the outfits as retro go-go boy kind of vibe, which I watched a few of the interviews. I believe he did that on Good Morning America. That was special.
Can we, with love and respect, get these incredibly charming people some media training around this? My theory is this, because I've seen them all give interviews and they're all like quite charming. I've seen them give interviews for all of their various properties. I feel like they're scared, as Marvel actors often are, of like saying the wrong thing or spilling secrets that they're not supposed to spill. There's a lot of people wondering how this connects to this, that, or the other thing. And
for
so
sure,
they're just like, maybe they're just sort of haven't yet figured out how to unclench from the like, I have so many secrets I can't share them. Surely Pedro, who had to keep Grogu a secret for a very long time.
He seemed ready to me. He's like, I've done the big IP press tour before, but there were nerves, so certainly in the group at large. The combination of like the pressure on the movie, and I think you're right. What can you tell us about Thing X? Oh God, please don't let me like pull a Tom Holland and say something I'm not supposed to say.
Don't let me do what Benedict Cumberbatch did and then quickly walked back, but like, did you? He's like, don't believe anything I say. I'm like, okay, Ben, sure.
Great stuff. Joanna, before we get into the 4 most fantastic things from the Fantastic Four First Steps trailer, anything else you'd like to say in a big picture sense about this viewing experience?
No, I think I can wrap everything I want to say inside of these 4 fantastic points that I've assembled here today for us as a family to feast upon.
Is there enough garlic in this feast?
Yeah, just enough to, zest. Mostly I'm just excited to talk about a Marvel movie that everyone is excited for.
I know.
That's just like in a meta way very exciting to me, because like Deadpool and Wolverine, I think people thought it was going to be really, really popular, but I don't know that anyone was sort of like emotionally like sort of keyed up for Deadpool and Wolverine the way that I feel like they are for Fantastic Four. So,
and that we are for Thunderbolts.
And that I am very personally for Thunderbolts. And also part of this anticipation comes from Marvel's patience around this property, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the Fox merger happened so long ago and they were like slow and steady. We really want to make sure we get this right. And every step along the way, all these first steps that we've seen from this new family has given us more reason to be excited. I've never felt a moment of like, oh no, the way I have with some of other things that we can talk about,
And they've done a good job of giving us little drips, the first Instagram illustration, the reveal of the new Marvel logo in the style of this 60s retro future alt world. It's been nugget after nugget, and obviously still plenty more to come between now and July 25th. My only thought on the patience is I hope they weren't too patient. Like, obviously there was a carryover of many characters and properties from one saga to the next. So hopefully this version of the Fantastic Four will be with us beyond one phase. I'm not really prepared having not yet seen the film or knowing if it's good, I'm not yet
Say
prepared
goodbye.
to have like a year and a half with
This is
Pedro
so
Pascal as
Mallory.
Richter.
She's
That
like,
would just be unfair.
Mallory's like, we've already seen the trailer. That means we're already on the way to it being
I'm mourning
over.
the loss in the end. Like half a year before it's even begun. Totally normal. Totally normal. Okay. It's time for the 4 most fantastic things from the Fantastic Four First Steps trailer. I don't know what that accent journey was.
I don't know.
Okay, Joe. I don't know what your list is. You don't know what mine is. I suspect we'll have some overlap. I don't think
Or
we
do
need to go
I
in any
have-
particular order.
No, we don't. I might have some backups. Like I'm ready to swap in if you like
Okay.
pick something that I picked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I have a couple honorable mentions, but I also have some that are very specific picks and some that are like as broad as they could possibly be, which might
You love a large
complicate this
tent.
exercise.
You love a large tent under
That's
which you
me.
can smuggle
Yeah. Yes.
a large family of ideas. Okay.
Hit me with your first most fantastic thing or your
Gosh,
fourth most fantastic
Amari,
thing, depending on how you're thinking of it.
I'd be thrilled in honor to. And this one is inspired by, I was not at all sure what order to go in. And you made the decision easy for me because you did that very bizarre, and I think we can all agree, mildly off-putting accent when you introduced this segment.
Yeah.
No, a true delight. And so I take us now to Accent Corner, and I take you to this
a thrill.
theoretical Accent Corner, which is
Wonderful.
John Malkovich shows up in this trailer very
Mhm.
briefly. We don't know for certain who he's playing. There's a lot of guesses running around, a lot of theories. But one theory is that he's playing a character called Red Ghost. And if you're sitting there at home and you don't know anything about the comic books, but you're like, I heard the word red. Could he be Russian? Yes. And to me, that means that perhaps we could get the return of the Malkovich Rounders accent.
Oh my God.
He bit me straight up. Pay that man his money. All right. So it is to me the appearance of John Malkovich, the prospect of John Malkovich, perhaps playing a Russian character and taking us all back in time to a more recent era of Rounders. One of the best worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. So that is my number 4, is just the appearance of John Malkovich.
A frankly remarkable place to be in this exercise. I felt very confident that we would be talking about John Malkovich's very brief, mysterious appearance in the trailer, but I did not know we would be talking about Rounders, and I'm thrilled. If anyone is like, John Malkovich was in this trailer, who is John Malkovich? But I don't know what. 120. You could see him with the long white hair.
You think people missed Malkovich in this
the
trailer?
long beard? Probably not.
Okay.
But just in case.
Just in case. If you went and got a soda while Malkovich was like swooping out of the shadows.
He's just a second. He's in the black background. It looks like the void that Sean records in for Big Pick.
He does.
He's over there in Studio 5 with Fantasy.
Do you think Sean could pull off long silvery locks
without question?
Malkovich?
No doubt. Absolutely no doubt.
Goals,
no doubt in
goals
my
for
mind.
Sean.
And the beard as well. Yeah, I think so. Certainly. Guys, can we get a Photoshop, please, to prove the point? Thank you.
Haven't we've seen Sean do like a beardlet? Haven't we seen that?
Oh yeah.
Sean?
He had a beard for a while in the early Ringer days, and it was frankly resplendent.
Bring it back.
Agreed.
And
So
that brings us back to John Malkovich.
You've moved on from your Mole Man hopes and dreams, which was a thing that you wanted John Malkovich to be playing Mole Man.
Yeah, but now I don't, and now
Okay.
I want him to be playing Red Ghost.
I like it.
Mole Man is
I think
fine.
those are the two leading theories. There's some like, is he Franklin Storm?
Yeah. There's
chatter, but
6 decent theories,
a number of possibilities,
and really only 2 or 3 good theories. Paul Walter Hauser as perhaps Mole Man is way more exciting to me. So
that feels right.
That's sort of where I've put my mole-based hopes and dreams. I love an accent. I love a choice. And we didn't hear from Malkovich in this trailer, but someday we will, and then we'll know.
We have a lot to look forward to on the getting to hear this character speak front. I mean, we did not get to hear Galactus talk yet.
Yeah, but
we
Ralph
know what
Ineson's
voice awaits.
voice booms through my every dream and nightmare.
Same.
So I feel like I know what that's going to sound like.
It's going
But
to be
Malkovich is a
heaven.
Malkovich is a wild card. You just don't know what he's gonna do. So, and I feel like Shackman is the kind of guy who would just be like, "Sure,
Go for it. Yeah.
full rounders, go for it."
I'm asking you to answer this question. I don't know how you would.
Is he
but
going to at one point open an Oreo near his ear?
yes, that was the exact question.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes, you anticipated it perfectly. How much of the movie do you think John Malkovich is going to be in?
Oh, barely in it.
Barely
I
any.
would say.
Over under on 5 total minutes of screen time.
Oh, I'm going to take the over, but just over. I would
Over
say
under on
less.
7 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, that feels right. 7 feels right to me.
Okay.
How about you? Like slight under on 7, I guess.
I would take the under on 7. Yeah, I could see it being like
6
6 and a
minutes
half.
and 45 seconds.
I like it. Lock it in.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my first or fourth, whatever order we're going in, who could say? I mean, probably John and Steve when they put together a graphics package for this episode, but us in real time, who the fuck knows? Okay, this is my like kind of big one. Stop me if you've heard this before. The vibes. Just an immaculate vibes trailer, and I have some subsets that contributed to the vibes being so immaculate and really contributing beyond some of the particulars on the character front and the story front, which also got me excited. I really like this trailer. I was already excited for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm even more excited now.
I'm frankly obsessed with this. I'm frankly obsessed with the exercise being pick 4 things, and you were like, everything.
The vibes.
Let me list it.
Yeah. And now I will pick other things inside of him, all of which are also sort of just like large things. and then I will have more specific things for the rest of them, sort of, and for a couple of the rest of them.
Don't worry. I knew this was going to happen.
I knew you knew that this was going to happen. Okay.
I went hyper specific because I was pretty sure
This
you
was
were
my
going to
hope.
go broad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vibes. What could have been broader than vibes? I don't know that anything could have, frankly.
Yeah, no, because all I can think of is cinnamon, the mood, the look.
Mood. Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
So here we go. Okay, so just at the most basic level, the true pan out.
Mhm.
What did we see? How did it make us feel? There was just something so fresh about this. Marvel's First Family, Joe. Have you heard?
Oh, are they family?
On-screen adaptation for Marvel's First Family, and it just felt unmistakably new, genuinely unmistakably new on the movie front. You could not confuse this for one of the prior Fox films. You couldn't, whether it's because of the shifting aspect ratios across the trailer, which I love, that was awesome, the particular color grading of the trailer, the spacesuits, the shade of blue, just the distinct shade of blue compared to the prior films, right down to like the Marvel logo tweak that we already talked about, which really helped bring together and really cement this like unified visual palette that feels very connected, not to the prior films, but to that comic's DNA, right? Like the debut of these characters in the 60s, you just feel that connection here and that appreciation for it and the desire. We'll talk as we go a little bit about some of the particular comics arcs from that era that are going to be part of this adaptation on the Galactus front. But it just felt so radically distinct from the prior screen template and saturated with comics energy in a way that I really enjoyed. That retrofuturism made me think right away in terms of the 60s aspect, that olden feel of WandaVision makes sense because of Shackman, of Loki. Like you're like, oh, this kitchen doesn't look all that different from the TVA. It felt so Mad Men-y.
There's a light rig that is like very similar.
Yeah. The fashion, the settings, it's just like, I'm waiting for Peggy or Don or Roger to walk around the corner. I really was watching it. It just felt like that. Even, obviously Captain America First Avenger does not have that specific decade feel, but just the idea of like these characters,
it's stylish. We're doing something with style.
Being a specific time, moment in time, place that feels different from the rest of the MCU, I really loved.
I have a very important multiverse question for you.
Hit me.
Would you blink twice if Roger Sterling walked around the corner inside of this universe, since we are not in the universe where Howard Stark is necessarily? Howard Stark could be here, but
Great
look
question.
differently,
Yeah.
like, like all that sort of stuff like that. So like,
oh man,
can you
this
handle
is a good question.
Roger Sterling and Howard Stark in the same.
Yeah, you know what? If Robert
Film
Downey
franchise.
Jr. is playing Doom, why the fuck not?
Exactly.
All right. Kevin, I hope you're listening.
I hope Roger Sterling shows up.
Joanna has an idea for you. I love it. The alternate Earth that you're mentioning here felt clearly right away like an alternate Earth. The Baxter building and the way it looked, the fantastic cars zipping through the trailer, the monorail in the city. Like, it's recognizable to us immediately as New York, but it is recognizable as a distinct New York in this continuity. Some other vibes that are less visual and more like thematic. That family focus, you know what, Joe? I love.
This is like honestly one of your most audacious cheats you've ever done in your life.
We're not even.
We're
We're not even close to done. No, we are actually. We are close to done. The thing that I loved about the family focus, which you were talking about, that need and longing for hope, and I love thinking about that, like this shared experience in the summer that just feels like a balm. How nice that would be. This trailer was super corny, like really earnest and really corny. Ben has always been a rock. That's really corny, but I loved it. And there's like, but not also, only just the
Ben has always been a rock is corny, but then to follow it up with like, and I'm right here.
I'm right here. Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together.
As a family.
As a family. Johnny is Johnny. Shouldn't skip that. But I just loved that. Not only the focus on family and their bond, the four of them, but like that aspect too, in that quote that we picked to open the pod, there's a kind of like, again, very true to the spirit of the Fantastic Four, but also in the MCU era, very like Erskine, good becomes great, super soldier serum, like amplify the thing that was already a part of you aspect to that I think MCU fans will really enjoy. And I like how central that felt here. And then the other thing on the vibes front, to me, this was sexy. It was a sexy trailer. Like Reed and Sue are cupping each other's faces. 45-second mark. They're in bed basically in the entire trailer. I have no notes. They share a kiss. 1 minute and 6 seconds into this trailer. Ben talks about how handsome he is, right? Best looking, he means. They look great and everybody knows it. And we got a kiss in the trailer. They're cuddling. There's an intimacy and like a hot quality that I loved, because that's an important, I think, element to mix in with the
It's important that your family be sexy, I think.
Exactly. Certainly if this is your cast. Certainly if this is your cast.
Great.
Joanna, what is your next most fantastic thing? We've got the potential for a John Malkovich Russian accent, and we've got the vibes. What is next for you?
I'll pick another specific thing, and I'll say, but I can extrapolate. I can play this game. I can extrapolate it out, and I will say the moment in the trailer when Ben looks in the window and you see his rocky face sort of hovering over his former human face. So something that Josh Trank wanted to do with the Fantastic Four was this idea of like body horror. Mm-hmm. That was the lofty aim that we sort of fell short of in that particular experiment. But the Fantastic Four, we've got Reed here, and I think it's really noteworthy as we meet this version of Reed, because there are different versions of Reed that we meet in the comics. And there could easily have been a version of Reed, though not after they cast Pedro Pascal, but there could easily have been a version of Reed that reminds us a lot of Doctor Strange or Tony Stark, this sort of like arrogant, like braggadocio sort of thing. Like there is a version of that they could have done. This Reed's doubts and insecurities, like last time we did this, these are the things that happened. And as he's saying it, you're feeling his guilt over that, the responsibility he feels. And so already, I'm glad you mentioned Erskine. We're getting that sort of like Captain America, like introspective, conflicted leader quality that makes you just want to follow him anywhere. And so this moment of transformation, this moment of reckoning for all of them. What do I do if I have a body and it disappears? What do I do if a body and it bursts into flames? What do I do if I have a body that stretches? What do I do if I'm now a rock and I can't even pass the way that the other 3 people in my family can pass. So all of that is fundamental to the Fantastic Four, and as fun and as exciting as it is to see them have their superpowers, this is like a real moment of agitation. So there's like, it's corny, it's a little goofy. We're talking about like cooking with a robot and an apron, like all of this stuff is here. But there's also that sort of slight melancholy and introspection that comes along with a really good Fantastic Four story. And I think with Shackman as like his visuals, giving us a visual like that inside of the trailer, I think, along with a lot of the vibes that you mentioned, make me optimistic for a film that's really trying to look great. So that's my pick. How am I labeling that?
Love it.
The shot of Ben in the window, but I can spin it
It was
out from
great.
there.
It was one of the most striking visuals, like him looking at an other version of himself. On the Reed point, I was really struck by the absence of the Reed Richards is a dickhead, is an asshole element in the trailer. And I wonder if that is because it didn't feel like the opening tone they wanted to set and like the mood they want to strike as they begin to market the film. But it will bloom inside of the movie, or if it will come later. I think it has to come eventually.
I don't know, because I feel like maybe I think they feel like they already have that represented and they're missing it, because I don't know if you heard, I'm sure you did, Chris Evans is like, no, I'm not in the Avengers movies. And I'm like, I kind of believe him, genuinely. I could be wrong, but I kind of believe him. But Downey's coming back. So we're going to have the Downey energy. We're going to have the Doctor Strange energy, which is just Downey again, essentially. But we're going to be missing that earnest Steve Rogers energy. And so like, as they have reshaped and reinvented some of these comic book staples for the movies to create the sort of chemical balance they need of heroes, I could see Reed Richards, or actually what might be most interesting is if like Reed Richards, we get this sort of like before and after this aspect ratio shift. If Reed Richards before all of this happens was a dick. I'm sorry, is that the point you're trying to make? Like
that's what I think
need,
is.
That we need a character on an arc. I think, would you say?
We love a character on an arc, you know. I don't know, has it ever come up before? We do love a character on an arc. Also, this is about Marvel's first family. But yeah, I feel like that's that guilt that you're citing, which is such a central part of Reed's journey. Like, I'm the smartest guy, not only in the room, but in the whole fucking place. Yeah. And look what happened under my watch to the people closest to me. Look what it's like now for like Ben to make his way through the world. There's the superiority, but also then how does that shame manifest? Yeah. And I think that the earnestness can be a specific, like overall, like these characters are earnest. They come from a world where that earnestness is at home and rewarded. But I feel like it has to morph into something that feels central to Reed. I think that what you're citing though about they've got the kind of like snark corner really well covered, cocky, like that. That's a really good point. But I think that they can. And they can still imbue some of that into the Reed experience without making him a clone of Tony and Strange. It's a good point.
I think when you look at something like Ultron My Bad, like the way in which Tony Stark handles grief and remorse versus the way that Steve does. Yeah, I think we just need more Steve energy back in the MCU, and we have Peter Parker, which is like a different kind of earnestness, you know, it's just younger. This is like, I've lived and I've done something, and I feel the weight of that, and I feel the responsibility of that. And I think you can do that in a way that doesn't feel like boring or stiff, because we already saw them do it with Captain America. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Pedro is so charming. I do think of him, not obviously there's tons of variants, and Reed Richards is one of the archetypes, but if you had to pick the Tony path or the Steve path, I think he's Tony path all the way.
Well, historically in the comic books, I would say yes, but I think they might be reshaping it, because I mean they have done that before in their adaptation of comics. So we'll see. And you know, like I think especially when you're trying to balance the equation with like someone like Johnny, you know what I mean, who is cocksure for like a different reason, but like that sort of cockiness, like it would be nice to balance that out a bit more. We'll see. You know, and I think if they do it well, I feel like there are people who could see a version of that. And I'm not working with any insider knowledge here, but like I think that people could see that version of Reed and say, hashtag not my Reed Richards, right? Like, where's the asshole,
sure.
where's the dick Reed Richards that I really want, you know? But then I think if it's done really well, I think it could ultimately reshape what we think of when we think of Reed Richards. So the way that I think Downey reshaped Tony Stark in people's minds. So
I can't believe we're getting Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. It's just a thrill.
What
a joy. Truly. Okay, here's my next one.
Yeah.
The celebrity factor.
Ooh, great
this was
one.
So interesting to me. Like, it is very, very, very clear in the marketing material for the movie so far, the posters, again, that they released, so you can see them all on Marvel.com. Inside of the trailer, that the Fantastic Four are mega famous in their world. Mega famous. When we are joining them, and also seemingly before we are joining them. The logo already up on the Baxter building. The kids, you can see at a minute and 14 seconds, the kids in
the thing
masks. Like, these are famous heroes. And it seems like before that, they were already famous for like the space race reasons. The fact that they always seem to be on TV was just inescapable. There's, again, like the Shackman I Made WandaVision, where TV and how we watch things on TV was such a big part of it. And also he's like such a prolific TV director aspect of this that is really fun to think about why he might have been interested in that as part of the creative direction. But like, okay, what's the opening to the trailer? It's Reed and Sue welcoming a TV host, a reporter, someone into their home to film their life so that the masses can consume it. And the idea that Reed Richards' uber genius was famous before he became Mr. Fantastic, because he was about to go to space, because he's got the brain the size of a devourer of worlds. That, again, feels like very where we found Tony in Iron Man 1 to me, right?
Yeah.
The footage of their expedition prep throughout the trailer before we went up the first time. So, like, obviously with the superhero masks and the kids, et cetera, there's the welcoming embrace of them as the Fantastic Four, the heroes. But the fact that they were so present in people's lives and that people flocked to them and watched them and wanted to know what they were going to do and what they were going to achieve before they became powered.
Yeah.
I really love, and I think, like, you know, also there's, of course, the end shot of the trailer of them all standing there in suits, like ready for their team photo. It's just like, yeah, these are like the people on this world. But there are a couple things about it that I find really interesting. Like, one, what does it mean? What do we think it means about the likelihood of the origin story focus in the movie? Because the fact that, like, they have this level of standing in the world as heroes already feels like we're going to either very quickly move through, potentially flash back to in this like footage, or maybe in a, like, when you can do what I do and you don't, and the bad things happen, it's on you, Peter, kind of way. Like, assume that people know.
I think
how they got their powers.
I think it's going to be the latter. I think it's assume people know, but also a little bit show us.
Right.
But not give us the origin story when there are two since The Sims were invented 25 years ago. We've already seen two origin story Fantastic Four movies. So
right,
yeah,
which is like, this is exciting to me because it's more time to spend with the characters in their form. And the other thing I really love about this is, like, fast forwarding through the origin story stuff, but again, just they're standing among the public, the masses on their Earth. I like what this promises about establishing them as, like, hyper entrenched and visible in their world, and as people who have a relationship with the public, the people they're saving and protecting in their world before they, and again, we don't know what's going to happen in this movie, but inevitably
They leave that
lose
world.
or leave it, right? They're making it to Secret Wars. Like,
Yeah.
we're not bringing the Fantastic Four into the MCU to not have them in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
So they're leaving, they're going to a different continuity, they're traveling across the multiverse, and to understand what they meant to this Earth before then feels really crucial. I loved that part of the trailer.
That's brilliant. This is a brilliant call out. I love that.
What's next?
Number 2, Joe Quinn's Johnny Storm wig. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing wig watch, but I could.
I was
but I'm
expecting
not.
a wig watch. What are your thoughts on this wig, please?
I actually love it. I think
It's
great.
really cute.
I think it's really cute. Joe Quinn always rocks a wig. Does a great job with it. So I love that.
Eddie, we miss you still. It is a great little blonde wig. It's really, really nice.
It's a little wiglet, and it reminds me of Steve Rogers' little wiglet. Okay, moving on from the wiglet. I'm going to call this Gadgets and Gizmos aplenty. And I'm going to say that
who's it's and what's it's going to
we got so used in the Strange Magic or Tony Stark, billionaire genius, etc. era, we got really
Playboy philanthropist
used to a specific look of the tech of Marvel, the nanotech. We went small, we went digital, we went all this sort of stuff. We were just sort of like, everything was just like really tidy and slick and shiny and all this sort of stuff like that. And then you go to this world, this retro, you already called out the retrofuturism of this look, but when you get Herbie, the
sensational,
absolutely instant icon with his like reel-to-reel tape face. Or you already mentioned the Fantasticar, but like the Fantasticar, which sick. Like looks so cool, but doesn't look slick. It looks, like a Pontiac, like a beautiful Pontiac. And if you look up various designs of the Fantasticar, like that's not necessarily, what it's looked like on the page. And so this is a choice they make to, we've got inventive scientific geniuses here, but what they're making is not going to look like the Marvel tech that we've seen over and over and over and over ad nauseum, even to the point of like comparing and contrasting the very iconic, we've seen it a million times, Tony Stark with his sort of like not his heads up display, but like, with the like hologram sort of like working things out in his lab versus an absolutely covetable retractable blackboard curved really arc situation. Like all of that tech, that low high tech stuff makes me really excited for something. Again, this is something you said beautifully in your vibe section, just like it feels new, it feels different. And that's exciting.
When you saw Reed on his scribbling research calculations on his chalkboard, what did you think? Do you want to sit in that class
and blink "I love you" on my eyelids to him?
Exactly. Great reference. Speaking of that chalkboard, since it has just come up, should note, you can see this at the 39-second mark. We do see wormholes on there. He's drawn wormholes. He's got enter and exit written around them.
This is fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Reed. I love that. I thought Herbie looked so cool.
Amazing.
The eyes that you're calling out were just delightful.
Plus, he's wearing an apron.
That's very sweet.
I know, but like, does a little droid need an apron? No, but he has one because he's just Herbie. Great. Okay.
Great one. Okay, my next one is, this is a daily double for G's. This is Galactus and Grimm. You already talked about Ben, so Ben. This was just on the Ben Grimm front, the Thing front. This was a real Ben-centric, Ben-heavy trailer, and that felt great and right. Like, I loved, we get a little kind of like clobber in time action when it was charging down the street, we're in the thick of battle, but like it was mostly just the charm and the heart. And there's the comics accurate like look that was so cool to see.
Which I really like. Yeah.
It was great. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think it's reasonable and fair to say that this is one of the things that everyone could be nervous about. How's the thing going to look?
Oh, for sure.
I wonder if we have anything in our recent cinematic past to inspire that fear. And it just looked awesome. He looked great. I thought that Ben Herbie sequence, like, I guess you could watch the trailer and be like, why is this opening with like a 30-minute ode to Richie and the bear? That was not my reaction to it.
No.
I was like, this is opening with a 30-second ode to Richie and the bear with Herbie and his swirling eyes, and this is fucking great.
I have a follow-up question for you. You said cousin as like part of the intro, and that was great. Loved it. Do you have the same reaction that I do when people call his character cousin rather than calling him Richie? It's like when people call, like when people would say Khaleesi in this like weird wrong way when they were talking about Daenerys. I don't know. I'm just sort of like,
there's only one right way to say the Khaleesi, and it's to pretend you're Jorah and spread your arms like this and look up the House of the Undying and go, Khaleesi! That's it.
I don't know. People are like, he plays cousin on the bear. I was like, what? They call each other cousin. He's Richie. Anyway, whatever.
Everyone just wants to be Carmy.
It's
Maybe
just
that's
like
the
a
takeaway.
really weird problem that I have with something very dumb and stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
Would you have felt differently if they had been organizing forks in the trailer?
I would have felt even better than I already did. If Olivia Colman showed up and she was just like, let me think about life.
Great stuff. Okay, so we were both thrilled with our time with the thing in the trailer. I also love the moment that you talked about with him watching himself in the TV in that trench coat and hat. It's just great. Great. On the Galactus front, it's a cool feeling when you're a nerd to watch a trailer and gasp out loud when you see something. And that's what I did when I saw the shadow.
You see his shadow
over Manhattan.
Yeah.
Like, this was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So this is a minute and 20 seconds in. The first thing we see is the shadow over Manhattan. Then a second later, we get the back of Galactus's head. We did not in this trailer see Galactus in full, see Galactus's face. Previously, was it at a Comic-Con or D23? I can't remember when they released like they previewed a still of his face, but that's not been in the trailer. I assume they're not prepared to put that on main yet. I don't know. We have not seen Galactus's face in the trailer yet, but the back of the head and the shadow, this was just awesome. Joanna, I love the power cosmic. I love a planet-eating cosmic being. I really want Galactus to be cool and good. And you called out some of the comics arcs already. The coming of Galactus, like adapting Squirrel Girl. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Squirrel Girl, adapting the coming of Galactus, 61 issues, 48, 49, 50, that arc, that early arc is cool and fun. And I really hope, I'm just gonna spoil it. I've got some Silver Surfer thoughts coming later, which I'll save, but I'm really hyped to get hopefully a good, cool Galactus, who is not a cloud. And that would be a positive change and a positive development. And I'm excited about this. So I like also just the restraint, even though I think rationally it's just like they're working on it. Like they're making the movie still. It's not literally not ready to show us.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I can spin that as like the anticipation builds just the tip of that helmet. Are you hyped for Galactus?
That's an awkward tip. Yeah. Yeah.
You love a devourer of worlds.
I love Ralph Ineson.
He is fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And what it offers up for us is, there's like this idea of like a number of minor villains and then a big bad inside of a movie. Sounds very Invincibles to me. Sounds really fun.
That's right. This is why we have to cap John Malkovich at 6.5 minutes or 6 minutes and 47 seconds. Is that where we landed officially? So we have enough room for Galactus.
Do you think I could ask Kevin to give me a scene where we get Mickey Rourke from Iron Man 2 and John Malkovich with the Rounders accent from Fantastic Four, and of course your guy Hopper, his Russian accent, the Red Guardian?
Dare to dream. Will they sing?
all in one
As you know, I
scene
expect the Red
together.
Guardian to be singing.
Anything is possible in the multiverse, and this is my wish for the multiverse. Mickey
Okay, so
Rourke.
here's where you've sent me. You're taking me to so many places today.
Where, if we get you another bird, will you come? What do you
This
think?
is exactly what I was going to say. All right,
Borked.
so I understand.
Borked.
I know you know now what I'm going to say. I understand that this is Marvel.
Yeah.
And that the Penguin is DC. However, if you're going to invoke Mickey Rourke and Iron Man 2 board, we can only really talk about one surprising how are these people on the screen together mashup, and it's the Bird mashup.
Yeah.
Talking about Boyds?
Boyds.
Oz, come on in.
What if we get Whiplash's Bird, the Penguin, Whiplash's Boyd, the Penguin who is a Boyd, and also Boyd Crowder from Justified. Does that work?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Imagine what Boyd would say about people drinking orange wine.
We
Southern
already wasted Goggins
Wild
in the
turkey?
MCU, but anything's possible in multiverse. We could do
God,
something better with him.
We really did. What a mistake that was.
Wandered.
That shouldn't stop us
Goggins.
from bringing Goggins back.
Okay.
It shouldn't. What's your final item?
Yeah, my number one.
Or your number 4?
I don't know if you've heard this, but this is Marvel's first family. I really did. I watched it a number of times. I wrote down a bunch of different options. And I just kept, family opens and closes this trailer, right? Reed says in this different aspect ratioed flashback tour, we have family dinner. And then we end the trailer with Sue saying, as a family, we'll face it together as a family. So yeah, I already burned my way through a bit, and is it already over? Perhaps. But I do think that, like, Fast and Furious invocation aside, I think we underestimate how much we sort of long to see family inside of these Marvel movies. Guardians is obviously an example, but the Avengers team as this, like, sort of beautiful dysfunctional family. The X-Men, should they ever get it right, inside of this is this, like, beautiful found family team, already built-in team. So yeah, this unit of 4, both literal family and sort of figurative family, and the dynamics that can come from it, and the way in which that unit of 4 inside of this movie, but then transplanted into other people's movies, is going to be profoundly interesting to me. So it might seem like really unprofound to say the fact that they're a family, but the fact that they're a family actually, I think, matters a lot to this story.
Okay.
And Matt Shackman knows it matters a lot. Matt Shackman, we keep invoking WandaVision, one of our shared favorite things that we saw ever in the MCU. And, so to take this idea of, like, 60s retrofuturism, TV, celebrity, all this sort of stuff like that inside the package of a family, a picture perfect sitcom family, but the picture is actually a little warped on the inside. Shackman's already knocked that out of the park. I mean, we'll miss you, Jack Schaefer. You're always welcome. We don't want to say that was a Shackman joint only, but it makes me really excited for what we could do on the family front here. So, Johnny, you mentioned this is a very Ben heavy trailer. It's a very Johnny light trailer.
Flame On looked fucking sick, though.
Flameo hot man. Flame On looked great.
Human Torch looked great.
Oh, great. And even better, I think, is that scene where it's like Johnny's just Johnny. It's the shot of him, like, sprawled out and being like
tumbling off the couch.
Like,
goofball teen energy.
Yeah,
love it.
right.
Also, his fear when he flames out above Earth. That was a gorgeous shot. That was really cool.
Yeah, but like Johnny as a like, we hear from everyone else and we don't hear from Johnny. I don't know if it's because they're still working on Joe Quinn's American accent and ADR. Who knows? But it makes me curious to see. So yeah,
I love this. It's a one of the things that we've talked about this before. Jason and I used to talk about this with the Marvel pods during the binge run. Like, the surprising mashup of characters who you wouldn't think would get along or who shouldn't be able to find a way to work together is one of the really interesting and rewarding things about watching a superhero story. But this other side of it, one of the many, but one of the many reasons that we love and are so invested in Bucky and Steve is because like they knew each other before.
They dug gold together.
They dug gold together. Like that idea of the bonds that exist before this extraordinary thing happens to you and what that means and how it shapes how you respond, how you feel about this thing that has happened to you, how you then feel about the thing that has happened to the other people who you care so deeply about, and what those prior bonds like mean for this kind of
I mean, they do this again and again in Marvel when you've got like Tony and there's all the people who know Iron Man, but then there's Pepper who knows Tony, right? Or Happy who knows Tony. And there's like, with loving and respect to Sharon Carter, she's never going to hold a candle to Peggy because Peggy loved Steve when he was just Steve. It's like,
Joanna, she kept a photo of him before he got the muscles on her desk.
Skinny Steve. All right.
It's beautiful.
What's your last one?
All right, here's my last one. It's another big one. It's the stuff we didn't see.
Yeah.
Now, this is the teaser trailer game. This is how it goes.
This is inspired, Mallory. I love this. This is great.
It weirdly got me really excited how many things we didn't see. All right. Add any that you have. Here are a few of mine. We already talked about actually one of the ones I had high on this list, which was not seeing Reed being an asshole. But on the Reed Richards front, we did not see Mr. Fantastic's powers. We saw everybody else.
Not a single limb was stretched.
No, and again, they were in bed for most of the trailer, so there were opportunities.
You could stretch all kinds of appendages in bed.
There were opportunities.
What do you think? Okay, you're the perfect person to talk to this about. In the Richards family bedroom scenario, what's more exciting, the stretch factor or the like, ooh, invisible, where are you? You could come from anywhere factor?
Well, why not both?
Well, obviously both. A stunning combination of the two.
I don't know if I want the force fields in the bedroom, but
and I don't want fire, and I don't know about the rock situation, but we can think about it. We can think about it. But the invisible and the stretch is alluring.
It's a potent combo.
Okay.
Joanna, my assumption, I assume is your assumption, which is that they're simply like, give us more time with the VFX here. We're not ready to show you this, and we want it to look good.
Joe Quinn's accent and the stretchiness. Those are the two things we're working on.
Great. I'm gonna spin that as keep us waiting, keep us wanting, get it right. Everything you withhold just leaves us wanting more, and I love it.
Absolutely.
This trailer did not feature the Silver Surfer. Now, I would not be me if I did not say quickly, shout out to my victory in the Ringer superhero draft, my opus, where the Herald of Galactus was also the herald of my victory. So I always like to mention Silver Surfer whenever I can. Julia Garner is not playing in Norrin Rad. This is going to be Shala Ball. Mm-hmm. I just can't wait for this.
What's your over under on screen time? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, et cetera, et cetera.
I think we'll see more Silver Surfer than Galactus.
Does it worry you at all?
No.
That she is billed low on the cast list?
Maybe. But there are just so many people in these movies.
Moss and the Acolyte sort of situation. You know what I mean?
Oh, boy. Steve, you have to reset the how many pods since we mentioned the Acolyte board. Get the dry erase out.
Resetting the clock.
Put it back to 0. We did it again.
It's just an Etch-a-Sketch at this point. Shake the old Etch-a-Sketch. We got an Acolyte mention.
We did it again.
Okay.
We already mentioned that we see John Malkovich, but don't get any confirmation of who he's playing.
Most importantly, we do not hear him speak.
Love this for you. Okay. Yeah. I want to be clear about this. We do not see Franklin or Valeria Richards. We have no reason to expect them to be in the movie. We don't know that they're going to be in the movie. It's entirely possible that they're not in the movie and don't yet exist. But this is a big source of fan speculation. Will Franklin be in the movie? Mm-hmm. So just interesting that is not clear coming out of the trailer. We do not see Downey's Doctor Doom, which is not a surprise. I do not think we will see Downey's Doctor Doom until the stinger of this movie when we are in our seats watching it. But this is part of then my final point here, which is the restraint. The thing that we did not see, we mentioned there are wormhole sketches on the chalkboard. The thing that we did not see in any way was the multiverse. It's there. It's understood. We know where this is going. But the trailer focused on these characters in their world and us understanding what their life is like and where they came from. And we did not spend time. You can start to think and wonder, is he drawing the wormholes because this is prep for the space travel that led to them getting their powers? Is it because he's calculating what Galactus's arrival time is going to be? Is he seeking another continuity to escape to evade Galactus? Any number of possibilities. But like, this was about where they are now. It's not about how they're going to get, I mean, it will be in the movie at some point, but in the trailer, it's not about how they're going to get to the multiverse and the rest of the MCU that we have spent all this time with. And I just like really appreciated that. And I hope that is the case for the bulk of the film as well, so that we have the opportunity to form an attachment to them before they port over into this larger thing.
Do you think there's a possibility that Galactus wins in this movie? Yeah. And they're refugees, essentially?
Yeah, cool. I do. Which would be incredibly grim, but also
Ben Grimm?
Incredibly Ben Grimm, but also like then a really interesting place to take those characters. I hope that
as a
the Fantastic Car and Herbie escape with them. Sorry to everyone else. Sorry to all those little kids in their thing.
Sorry about literally everyone else on this earth, but as long as Herbie and his little reel-to-reel face makes
sweet Herbie. You think we'll get some Herbie merch?
Obviously.
I mean, no question. Yeah.
I got my Neil merch this week. Are you so happy for me?
I'm thrilled. Yeah. I'm thrilled. I ended up with 2 Neil Funko Pops because we got the our mystery angel who sent us this Neil kit at Lucasfilm. Thank you. And then Adam, who was mostly very moved by all of the Neil items and then enraged by the Neil Funko Pop because he had bought me one for Hanukkah. So now I have 2. So I'll be bringing one into the studio. Guys, great news. You get to add a Neil Funko Pop to Studio C. Get hyped.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Anything else, Joe? You said you had some backups. Any other honorable mentions that you want to call out? Anything else?
Well, actually, the only thing that I haven't mentioned, I have a bulleted list that also includes like the aspect ratio and this, that, and the other thing, like things you've talked about. Of all the like, we're in the 60s, but we're in the 60s, the sunken couch, the conversation pit.
Dude.
I have always, when you find out I've really made it is when you come to my house and I have a conversation pit, because I've always wanted one. So, you know.
Well, you could have one on this earth or on Ad-Aten. What are you picking?
Obviously this earth.
It seems like bad things are going to happen just in all of these places. So.
Yep. So why not the perilous planet, you know?
I love a sunken living room too, but I do wonder. My aunt, as I might have mentioned already, has one, and I loved it when I was a kid. But I always thought, if this were my everyday life, how often would I stumble?
You would be free. You would just be like thrilled and overjoyed and delighted.
I think I'd have to have like a low, wide couch that I could just kind of flop down onto.
Okay, and I believe we can get that for you.
Great.
Okay.
Add it to the list for the family compound.
A conversation pit and a low, wide couch for Mallory, upon which Mallory can flop. As I
texted you about Pit Girl this week during the Yellow Jackets rewatch. Pits abound. Pits everywhere. You're potting about the pit?
The pit.
The Pittsburgh Steelers embarrassed themselves in the playoffs. I don't know that I really get to say that given what happened to my team eventually, but it is true. Lots of pits. I think we're done with the pod. We did it.
What a way to end it on pits.
Peach Pit.
Peach Pit after dark.
It's always Peach Pit after dark. Thank you to our Fantastic Four. Steve Ahlman, John Richter, on the edit. Arjuna Ramgopal, he's not with us today, but he's with us in spirit.
In spirit.
Jomi Adeniran, on the socials. Reminder to submit your winter mailbag questions.
Please
we would
do.
love to hear from you. And send us your V-Day Quickie Romantasy questions and emails as well. Who knows how, if or how we will incorporate them into the podcast, but surely in some capacity we will. Until then.
Yeah.
Joanna, remember, whatever life throws at us on the Google Calendar scheduling front or otherwise, we will face it together
As a family.